6 youngsters arrested for assaulting a 14-year-old girl after a video of the incident goes viral. China imposes retaliatory tariffs on selected Canadian agricultural products. And impeached South Korean leader Yoon Suk-yeol released from detention after the court cancels his arrest warrant. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Jeremy Zhu. 6 youngsters aged 15 to 22 and some with triad backgrounds have been arrested in connection with an alleged physical assault on a 14-year-old girl in Mongkok 6 months after the incident occurred. Footage circulating on social media shows the girl surrounded by several individuals who verbally abused her and repeatedly slapped her face. According to police investigations, the incident took place in August last year in a stairwell at a mall on Sai Street. It reportedly stemmed from a dispute over a trivial matter and involved 8 individuals. The victim did not seek medical attention after the alleged assault. After the footage recently surfaced online, the girl reported the incident yesterday to Mongkok Police Station with her guardian. The suspects have been arrested on suspicion of assault, occasioning actual bodily harm. Police said they are teenage louds who roam around in Yaotingmon district, and some have triad backgrounds. The Housing Authority has completed its review of income and asset limits for public housing applications, recommending an average increase of 1.7% for the financial year. Among the changes, 2-person households will see the highest adjustment at 2.5%, with the monthly income limit rising $500. Meanwhile, 4-person households will see the smallest increase of just 0.2%, with the income limit rising by $50. Based on data from the 4th quarter of last year, around 165,000 non-owner households in private housing will now qualify under the new income limits, accounting for nearly 30% of the total. Meanwhile, asset limits will also increase by a universal 1.7%. For single and 2-person households, the limits will be set at $291,000 and $394,000 respectively, while the cap for 4-person households will be $600,000. The Housing Authority's Subsidized Housing Committee will review the recommendations on the 21st of this month. If approved, the new limits will take effect on the 1st of next month. Labor and Welfare Minister Chris Sun defended the adjustment to the $2 transport subsidy scheme, which is set to affect those over 60, stating that there are no plans to segment the program into different age groups, as it would complicate implementation. Evelyn Bai reports.
Under the new $2 scheme, elder persons could still pay $2 for short trips. But for journeys costing over $10, only a discount of 80% will be provided. Speaking to iCable News program Last Talk, Sun revealed that there are 2.5 million beneficiaries of the $2 scheme, with 28% being residents aged 60 to 64. Despite accounting for 55% of the government's subsidy expenditure, Sun confirmed that there are no plans to make adjustments targeted specifically at this age group. We want the elderly, whether they are 60 to 64 or 65 and above, to be willing to travel more, connect with society and keep an open mind, Sun said. Addressing public concerns that the new arrangement is unfair to those aged 65 and above who enjoy half-price discounts on some transports. Sun defended the scheme, saying that a uniform fare structure is clearer to understand. In the 2024-25 fiscal year, the government expenditure for the $2 scheme was revised down to $4.39 billion from the originally estimated $6 billion. The welfare chief explained that only 88% of the eligible elderly used the subsidy, with the remaining 12% applying for Joyu Car but had not used it once in the past 3 months. He added that costs are expected to rise, reaching $5.4 billion by the 2025-26 fiscal year. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
A survey revealed that nearly half of the elderly persons interviewed were not happy about the new measures proposed in the latest budget. Among the 1,079 elders surveyed by Caritas Services for the Elderly, more than half considered that the original concessionary fare of $2 for unlimited rides should be maintained. In addition, more than 80% of the respondents thought the government should increase the amount of the healthcare voucher subsidy. The group called for relaxing the threshold of the allowance for carers of the elderly to those carers receiving old age living allowance. The government is set to roll out a joint property management pilot scheme as early as June to address the management of 3,000 3-nil blocks in the city. Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs Alice Mack noted that property management companies could use technology to cut costs. Evelyn Bai reports.
These 3 new buildings refer to poorly managed H blocks, which lack owners' corporations, residents' organizations, or property management companies.
Taking to
the airwaves, Mack said management companies could leverage technology across several buildings, such as installing closed-circuit television to lower operational and management costs. So more flat owners would be drawn to join the scheme. The Home Affairs chief said, based on Urban Renewals Authority's data in Kowloon City, management fee per household is estimated to be $100 per month. The Bureau will consult district councils in Yaoqimong, Shamshui-Po, Kowloon City, and Tuen later this month. Meanwhile, the new budget proposed to increase funding for the community care teams by 50% in the next term of service. Mack revealed that the care teams have already visited 390,000 households, organized over 20,000 activities, and deployed over 400 emergency support services as of January. She noted that the cost of services provided by these care teams is at least 3 times lower than that of other service providers, saving government resources in the long run rather than causing increased burden. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
The Center for Health Protection urged the public to be vigilant when traveling outside Hong Kong after dozens of norovirus and infectious gastroenteritis cases have been recorded in Japan in recent months. At least 99 customers at Kiyotsuki Wagashi shop in Yonago City, Tottori Prefecture have been suffering from vomiting and diarrhea after eating strawberry daifuku at the shop since February. Meanwhile, another 56 persons fell sick with norovirus after eating at Kichi, a 1-star Michelin restaurant in Osaka. The center reminded that norovirus can be transmitted through eating contaminated food and touching contaminated objects. As Japan is a popular tourist destination for Hong Kongers, residents are reminded to be careful with personal, environmental, and food hygiene, such as avoid eating undercooked seafood. Marking International Women's Day, Chief Executive John Lee highlighted that nearly half of the current government's leadership and civil service team are women, reflecting their significant contributions across various sectors. Speaking at a celebratory reception, the city leader praised the pivotal role women have played in the city's success. He highlighted that female civil servants have been key to the government's consistent ranking among the world's top 3 in efficiency. He added that in the private sector, women now hold 50% of professional roles, over half of legal and accounting positions, and nearly 40% of management roles. Lee expressed deep gratitude for the immense contributions women have made, and pointed out that as Hong Kong is undergoing economic transformation, women remain a driving force in societal progress. The city chief encouraged women to continue embracing resilience and determination, contributing to the high-quality development of both the nation and the SAR. The Commerce Ministry has announced retaliatory tariffs on agricultural products from Canada. The levies, which will take effect from March 20th, are in response to the North American country's 100% duty on China-made electric vehicles and 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium imports from the mainland. Beijing has slapped an 100% tariff on Canadian rapeseed oil, oil cakes, and peas. A 25% levy is also imposed on pork and some seafood imports from Canada. Beijing had voiced repeated opposition to the tariffs on Chinese goods, saying Canada had not conducted any investigation before applying the levies last year. China is Canada's second largest trading partner and imports more than 60% of rapeseed produced there. Former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, who was detained under corruption and subversion charges, has been released. The 64-year-old, who was impeached by fellow lawmakers for his declaration of martial law late last year, was set free after prosecutors decided not to appeal a court decision canceling his arrest. Yoon was cheered by his supporters as he walked out of the detention center on the outskirts of the capital, Seoul. Bowing and thanking the crowd, Yoon expressed gratitude by walking down the street rather than driving away in a car as his supporters waved South Korean and U.S. flags. Yoon had been in detention since January and is not a completely free man as yet. He will stand trial for inciting a rebellion but does not need to be physically detained, the court ruled. His impeachment trial is separate from the criminal charges he faces. And South Korea's constitutional court will decide whether to dismiss or reinstate Yoon. The former leader remains suspended from official duties. Russia has stepped up its offensive in Ukraine after the U.S. suspended military aid to Kyiv earlier this week. And with Washington refusing to share any intelligence on the battlefield, Ukrainian forces are finding it tough to counter Russian attacks. Sachin Khatvi reports.
Russian drone strike on the town of Dobropilia in eastern Ukraine killed 11 people yesterday. The death toll was revised to 20 later after reports confirmed that others had also died in attacks near the city of Donetsk, which is partially under Russian control. U.S. President Donald Trump said he is considering further sanctions on Moscow, but is not surprised by what his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin is doing.
No, I actually think he's doing what anybody else would do. I think he wants to get it stopped and settled, and I think he's hitting them harder than he's been hitting them. And I think probably anybody in that position would be doing that right now.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked his European allies for their support after EU members agreed to allocate $7.7 billion to help Kiev. Defense equipment provided by European countries helped in repelling the Russian attack, he added. But without support from the US, Ukraine is likely to run out of weapons soon. Sachin Khatvi, Cable News.
Onto the weather now. Overcast with a minimum temperature to be about 17 degrees tomorrow morning. Sunny periods during the day with a maximum temperature of around 21 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our news tonight. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Thank you for watching and good night.